Yeah, we got one take Zay in the building. What's up with my guys, man? It's the WTP Sports Dudes, where we going live talking about some March Madness Saturday night action, man. And we talking sports Sunday. We also gonna be previewing some of the round 32 games today, man. How y'all doing? What's up, Rob? What's up with you? How you doing this morning?
I'm good, man. You know, I'm super excited, man. You see these dudes? Listen, they had to play in a playing game. One of the last four in. And guess what they do? They pop the team they had to play in. Then they pop BYU. And then last night they pop Gonzaga. You know, I'm on high right now. Let's go. Let's get it.
Save a little bit for the segment, man. I'm gonna let you cook up. Hey, man, we got Level Up Sports 10. It's good to see you in here, Moss. How you doing this morning?
Man, feeling pretty good, man. Slight time away from the keeping it cheesy side, but it's good to see everybody this morning. I feel man. These Longhorns is giving March Madness something to see. Shout out to Dalen Swain, you know, the hometown kid, man. I think it's just special. And then Texas A&M over there doing damage in the early rounds. Excited to see what they can do in this upcoming. So, and it's just good basketball going on, and I'm just glad to be here this morning with everybody.
Hey, I had a Mickey D's coffee this morning, man. Shout out to you, man. You know how it's kicking. What's up with you, SEC Sean? How you feeling this morning, dog?
Oh man, we good. Can't be upset with what went on. I mean, in our game yesterday, we'll touch on that, I'm sure, in a minute. But you know, what do you expect from a team that was picked 13th in the SEC? So,
I feel that.
not too stressed about it. But you definitely know what today is.
Yeah, it's story time. You can go ahead right into it.
So I was hoping my boy Doug would be on because this was something that he would have a little more, be more used to him. But went to the post office, man. And this dude was sitting there. He had about 200 pink envelopes. And this dude is stuffing letters in there and then spraying them with perfume.
Wow.
I said, hey, man, what is going on? He said, well, I'm sending all these letters out to random addresses signed guess who. And I said, man, why would you do that? He said, well, I'm a divorce lawyer and I need some business.
Oh, snap.
He definitely gonna get some business in the long haul, man. Major business.
He might get the wrong kind of business though.
Right.
The hot lead business.
That's right.
Hey, listen, man. I gotta send you this video of the divorce attorney now, man.
Oh yeah. Well, I saw your video yesterday with the Oliver Rowe dude and the other dude next to him. That dude
he looked at this man like he wasn't human, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, man, let's get right into it, though, man. We had Michigan take on St. Louis. They thumped them 95-72. What's y'all thoughts on that game? What y'all see? This Michigan team looked dangerous yesterday.
I think Michigan, after what St. Louis did to a decent Georgia team, that game, they blew them out the water. The way Michigan handled them, that Michigan team looked scary. I knew that we all knew that they were one of the best teams in this tournament anyway. But the way they're handling business against a pretty athletic, really good team, who you got to give a little bit of shout out to, whatever you want to call the dude from St. Louis, cream of wheat, cream of Jabbar, Larry Nerd. I've heard all kinds of nicknames about that dude. Avila, that dude can just play. I like his motor and his skills. I wish I don't see him getting a shot in the league, but he might. But I think that kid's just crazy. Some of the passes he makes and stuff is just insane. But Michigan, man. They're good. They're really good. They're athletic. They're long. They can shoot. As long as they stay out of foul trouble with their bigs, Michigan can run with anybody in this tournament.
For me, Michigan just after a loss, they seem to get stronger after a loss, knowing they could have won that Big Ten tournament. Not winning that, I think they coming into this NCAA tournament with a little steam. It was a scare early, but they show who they are. McKinney, I talked about him, about a month ago before we kicked off into March Madness, wondering when he would show himself. He's picked up a lot of steam, and the dunk Lindenborg got yesterday, I think that just goes to show in the way that bench, cheered along throughout the game. But that dunk, if you got a shot at a bench, that just goes to show Michigan is on a mission, I think, for something that, a lot of people have Arizona winning, but I think a lot of people are sleeping on this Michigan team, and they've played a tough schedule throughout this season. So they're looking very, very good. And as a lot of teams are scared in this tournament at this point.
Man, I know we talked about how guards are so valuable during this time of the year in the tournament. And Michigan's guard, he played really, really well in that game. But man, they bigs really showed or made a case for why the bigs might be the most important part of this tournament. Because those guys really played well. Their continuity, how they understand each other's game, and how they get the ball to each other in position to score. It was phenomenal yesterday by Michigan. I think they played a really complete game yesterday. They played good defense. They played good offense, especially in the second half. And I think that Michigan team is going to be really, really tough, especially if their bigs, like was what was mentioned earlier, can stay out of foul trouble. They're going to be a tough team to beat. And I like this Michigan team going forward to possibly make it to the Final Four, even the national championship game.
Yeah, I think Lindenberg, man, he's proven to be one of the biggest matchup nightmares in this tournament. That body, that frame he got, how fluid he is. 6'9", he could play inside, outside. He's just a tough guard, man. Then to pair him with Mara, and then when you get a game out of uh Johnson Jr. like that, man, I don't know if them three play at a high level, they definitely gonna be a tough out, man. And we did have this conversation about the bigs versus guard play. When your front line can control a game, though, I don't care who you are, man. You can't. It's hard to teach size, and them some big dudes, man. All of them 6'9", 6'9", 7 foot. That's a matchup front court nightmare for real.
And then he can guard all positions, like 1 through 5, which is crazy. Handle the ball. And I think, you really got to look at this Michigan team now in March Madness. Like Cadeau, like you said, playing the way he played. I just think they're scary. It's another team I can't wait to get to, but this Michigan team and that team I'll talk about is definitely, I feel, scarier by the game.
Hey, and we've been talking about the freshman class and this draft class all year long, man.
Yeah.
He a senior. He could help somebody next year. He ready right now.
Right now. Yeah.
That lead us to Duke with the explosive second half yesterday, man, that propelled them to a victory. 81-58 over TCU. What did y'all think about that Duke performance yesterday?
I really like the fact that Duke understood what was at hand in that second half, and they made sure that they got the ball to their best player in Cameron Boozer, and he did everything he needed to do to lead his team to this win yesterday. I think they really buckled down on the defensive end of the court, and they got stops that they needed to get, and they had guys that came in off of the bench that also helped them a lot in that game, knocking down shots. And I've really been impressed by Cameron Boozer's twin here lately during the season. He has really been able to control that team and manage that team really, 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 really well at that point guard position. because that's basically what he's been playing here lately. And he played really, really well. His foot speed ain't that great, but man, he can handle that team and put them in position to score. And whenever he needs to knock down a shot, he's able to do that as well. I really like what Duke did yesterday, understanding the nature of the game, what they needed to do to win it in that second half, and they went out and did that.
What's your thoughts, SEC?
Yeah, pretty much. This is a 4-point game at halftime. Then, Duke had a little issue in the first round. You'll see that now and then with these 116 matchups. But Duke was looking pretty rough, but maybe it was, they thought they could just walk through that first round, and this kind of maybe helped focus them in on look. And then you're in another tight game at halftime with a scrappy TCU team. Not one of the best teams, but scrappy. One of those teams that can give you problems if you let them hang around. And Duke just came out in the second half and said, "You're not." You just took their will from them, and that was that. Duke just, like Rob said, just clamped down the defensive end, and it just kind of pulled away. And once they got out by double digits, you could just tell that it was pretty much going to be coast time, and they just cruised away to a huge, dominant-looking performance.
Yeah, it's crazy for me watching this Duke team. I think about everything One Take says about Duke and how long can they keep this going. Biggs being in foul trouble. Now we got to look at the fact that the next question has been answered. If Boozer's not having a great game, what can he do in that second half? We've seen that, but Alex Sarr, he's special. When that kid is playing great and he's smiling, but most of all when he's hitting the three ball. I think Duke is a very tough team. He's long. He's about 6'8", athletic. I think he's the engine in that Duke team. Not to mention the man they got back from that foot injury. I can't think of his name, 21. His vision to be able to be at the top of the key, find Boozer down low. His footwork is, to me, impeccable when he's down low as well. But I think this Duke team is learning a lot more about players that people question as far as their ability to step up. As you mentioned about Caden, he's doing an excellent job with Martin out and just handling that guard position. So for me, I think Duke as well as Michigan, I think about that matchup when they play. Either one of these teams can really win it. It's a lot going on, and I like what Duke is putting out to show for us.
Yeah, man. I think we got the blueprint on Duke. I don't think TCU was a good matchup. Uh, you got to be able to shoot the rock, to beat this Duke team. I just don't think that TCU had enough people that could shoot the leather off that thing. So, uh, with that being said, I want to say they got Duke got the winner of St. John's in Kansas, which I don't think neither one of them teams are really explosive at shooting the rock, and I think that's what it's going to take: an explosive team that can get it from the perimeter. Um, St. John, scrappy. Kansas, we know Darren Peterson, a top 5 projected pick, but can you make enough threes against Duke? That's how you beat them, bruh. You got to hit threes, bruh. Um, if you gonna play, if you gonna play a type of style of basketball that they want to play, which is they want to dominate the paint, they want to control the possessions, and they want to take care of the ball and play good defense. You gotta beat them at if you want to beat them at their own game. You're gonna need a team, a front court like Michigan, or even we seen Illinois last night, which we'll get to later. Um, but you gonna have to have some dudes down there that's gonna be able to put up replicate statistics that you're gonna get from Booze. And like Rob's point, baby Boozer, and I know he ain't had the craziest stat line. He controlled that game though. You know, he got them in their sets. He pushed the rock when they needed to push it. He didn't turn the ball over, and that's that. Listen, I felt like all year long they should have been letting him go, bruh. Like, because as when I look at Caleb Foster, I like Caleb Foster, but Boozer, you got to understand him and his brother ain't lost a game in the last 4 years in tournament time. That's just a winner. You feel me? So for him to step up in a big moment, them losing Caleb Foster late and him playing the way he playing is definitely major.
Real quick, Zay, before you leave Duke, can you remember seeing them play in the games in high school, them championship games they played in?
You know it's hard to catch them high school games. I caught a few. It wasn't the tournament games though. It was just the ones that they air on ESPN. You know what I'm
Go
saying?
if you can, like, just go look at a highlight. You're gonna see exactly. This Duke team remind me of that team that they had when they won their last championship against all them powerhouse schools. Caden is starting to look like that point guard all over. Like, he's special, just a special kid, man.
Hey, the haterism in me still think they gonna fold at some point.
I think that's a good point you made there too. One take, they're going to run into somebody. Maybe not until maybe the Elite Eight or the Final Four. That's going to be able to really get them some serious trouble, whether it be a Michigan State, a Florida, or Houston, where they got guys who can compete with them. You know that they're not going to be overwhelmed by it being Duke. And I think they're going to have a game where if Booster has 2 points at halftime, they're going to find themselves down double digits, man. And I think that they got to make sure that they keep him active both halves. And if they ever get him in foul trouble, if one of those teams have a big that can go at him and get him in foul trouble, because his feet ain't as fast as some of these big men that I've seen in this tournament. He could get put in foul trouble as well. And if that happens, we're going to probably see a totally different Duke team because I don't know if they have an answer yet if Boozer's not on the court. Cameron Boozer, that is.
Yeah, do y'all still feel like he's a lock to be a top 5 pick?
Man, yeah, I think he is. I'm really liking the way Cameron Boozer has been playing lately since, like, you know where I'm at with AJ Peterson being, after Boozer now, and it was Peterson first, but then lately I just been watching Boozer's game, the way he handles the ball at top, his IQ. He might even be a number 1 pick. He's just that good, man. Like, I really like his game, man.
I really feel like from watching him these last couple of games, I don't know if the way he plays is the style of play that they play in the NBA. Does he have another a level he can go to? Because I watched his feet, and of course he can do that against these college guys. But the NBA is a different animal, and the position in which he's going to have to play. Can he stretch the ball? Can he shoot from the three? Can he create his own shot from out there? Can he do the things that we see the bigs in the NBA doing? Because the NBA is not a game where you really play a whole lot in the paint. It happens from time to time, but it's not an in the paint game anymore. And I don't know if I've seen that side of him yet.
I like that.
Any thoughts, Sean?
I don't know that he'll probably go in the top 5, but I don't know that he's going to have a lot to work on in the NBA in my mind. You hit it exactly right. He's going to have to prove that he can step out and hit the outside shot, that 3, in my opinion. I think he can get you some rebounds, and I think he can be a serviceable player. Top 5, I don't know. I think some of these guards have maybe moved up in front of him. We'll get to one of them in the next comment, unfortunately.
And that leads us to it. We sorry, Sean. Yo,
Hey.
your Aggies got down by Houston, 88-57. We'll let Sean go last. Go ahead. Let me hear you. Let me hear from you, JoJo.
You know my guys with Houston. I think he's been putting on a show for the last month. I told y'all he's like Derrick Rose when he gets to the cup and when he elevates. Flemings is special. I know everybody talks about Acuff Jr. When I see Fleming, I just see a freshman. And you see when he did at the podium, can he take his card with his name on it? That's just what you do. That's just a humble kid having fun, before they play Texas A&M. But just watching this Houston team, Knack, Sharp, the leadership, but the team game, and then the coach that they have at the head. If you watch this conference and seeing what he did, everybody checked their egos at the door. Sampson put a hold to everything and he'll nullify it immediately and get you in position not just to be a better man in life, but be a better basketball player. I think we're seeing that with Flemings. Special. I think this is a team that I told y'all, they could actually get to the championship and win. And I think Houston go as Flemings go. I think this is the freshman that could lead his team, but he means the most, even at this point in the tournament, to his team, and we seen it yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to Texas A&M, man. They lost their coach. They had to pull a team together before this season started, man, and to see them get to the tournament, win a game against a really good St. Mary's team, and then just face a juggernaut in Houston, bro. I mean, we all feel like Houston was one of those teams that possibly could have been a number one seed, especially had they had won that Big 12 tournament. So this Houston team, man, is going to give somebody some fits. They're going to give Illinois some fits next game, and if they beat Illinois, they're going to give Florida some fits. Now, these are two bigger teams that they're going to be facing. But when you talk about Fleming and the things that he can do at that guard position, I think he'll be able to do that against both of those teams and possibly lead them to a win. It's going to be a tough one, but I really like this Houston team and what they can do as a unit. They're scrappy, they hustle, they don't take anything off of the court. They leave it all out there, man, and they play really, really hard for Calvin Sampson. I think that's their coach's name. And they're just a really good team, man. And I'm anxious to see what they're going to do with the two possible matchups. They're going to have one being Illinois, and possibly, if they beat Illinois, facing a Florida team if they advance that far.
Yeah, we had this conversation about Houston about a week and a half ago when they played Arizona in the tournament, in the conference tournament. If all four of them, that fantastic four that they got, if they play bad, they gonna probably lose. Now, if they all play like they played yesterday, they all play good. Sanak, Sharp, Uzan, and Flemings. It's gonna be a tough night, and that's what we seen yesterday. They all play well. Um, you know, Flemings is probably the most explosive guy out of all of them. And he had the least amount of points, but he had a well balanced game as a point guard. So if you get that performance out of them, man, it's gonna be tough to beat them, man. You got to slow one or two of them guys down. But if all four of them, like I said, play like that, man, I really do not see nobody beating them.
Tough, man.
Yeah, I had very faint hope for an upset in this, but for it to happen, we had to do what we did to St. Mary's. We had to invoke our will and our style on Houston, and invoking it on a team like St. Mary's, who's never really seen that style, is one thing. To invoke it on Houston is a whole different animal. You saw the frustration with St. Mary's from the start of the game. First possession St. Mary's had was a 10-second count. Then it was turnover. Then it was just one thing, but that's how A&M had to play. The biggest player that starts is listed at 6'8". If Rashawn Agee's 6'8", I'm 6'3", and I'm not near 6'3". A&M kept it close. It was a 1-point game at one point, and I was like, okay, keep it close. Then the pressure's going to shift to Houston. Mm-hmm. And then Houston did what Houston do. and went on a 6-minute drought of they held A&M scoreless for 6 minutes, and that was the game. Sharp came out, hit a couple of threes. He hit 2 threes in the first half, wound up 2 for 8. I mean, you could see A&M just could not rebound. Lost the rebounding battle 46-29. 19 of those were offensive rebounds. At one point, it was 11-1 in offensive rebounds. So, all in all, not really upset. I had Houston winning this game on my brackets. Would have loved for my bracket to be shredded with an A&M win. Come back home to Houston. I know all the talk is Houston gets to play in Houston. Well, A&M's only an hour and a half outside of Houston, and there's tons of A&M fans in Houston. I was a little upset yesterday with the crowd before I jump into the final statement on the Aggies, but I really thought that arena would be packed, and there was tons of empty seats for that game. It's as close as Oklahoma City is to Texas. I mean, North Texas, even 4 hours from Dallas. I thought it'd be a lot more in there, but that is what it is. So he was the last Power 4 coach. A&M had no NIL money for basketball because their boosters weren't backing it because they didn't know who the coach was going to be. So he had very limited NIL money, let's put it that way, to build a roster from. He had one player stay when Buzz Williams left. He had exactly one player. Then you go out and get what everybody thinks is going to be a lottery pick in McKenzie and Mbakpo, and he gets hurt early in the season, is out for the year. So you lose your big 7-foot center. We just had no size. Jamie Vinson came on, the kid transferred from Texas. He came on in the second half of the season with some good minutes, but I am ecstatic for what is being built there. I think that the boosters will get behind it. I made the comment yesterday on one of my guys I follow on YouTube. I said, with the recruiting uptick we're going to get from this, the kids that could come back, I already penciled. I said, to me, it's Sweet 16 or bust next year.
Let's welcome post game. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Especially just in case y'all missed what I posted at one point. We did get news that the McKenzie and Mbakpo is going to come back for his senior year.
That's what's up. Sweet 16 or bust. I'm going to mark you to them words, Sean. Hey, let's welcome post game to the show. What's up, post game? How you doing this morning?
Doing well. Can y'all hear me good?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, how y'all doing this morning, man? Another great day of basketball. Sure.
Yep.
Solid. Hey, we covered the Michigan St. Louis game and the Duke TCU game, and then we were just talking about the Houston versus Texas A&M game. If you want, go ahead and jump into those.
Yeah, man. I think the Big 12 is what I thought it was. I believe the Big 12 can get 2 to 3 teams in the Final Four. Arizona, Iowa State, and Houston. This Houston team is, man, they really good. And you saw last night, Sharp and Uzan, they had solid games. But Fleming's, he didn't really have his best game, and they still dominated Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M was overmatched, but like I said, that Big 12 is no joke this year. I still think Arizona is the most balanced team, the best team in the Big 12, but I think Houston or Iowa State can beat anybody. As far as Michigan and St. Louis, Michigan is just the more physical team. Or St. Louis that didn't play a team like Michigan all season. So as far as Duke, I think we all expected Duke to do what they did. They were scared in the first round, but I think they got themselves together. They're still dealing with some injuries, but they got a great coach and they got some great depth. So it is what it is.
Hey, post. I don't know. I think the Big Ten might get three of them things. The way it's looking out here. Yeah, Big Ten over here, baby.
Real quick,
I can tell you the SEC won't.
yeah, it ain't happening.
Hey, we gonna get to the SEC though, man. Cause I
Real,
don't know. I think I seen the best March Madness game last night that I've
real,
seen in a few years.
what
And
you
we
Give you
gonna
a real quick. Give me a real quick on Houston. My last statement on that Houston team. Phenomenal team. That team is ranked 10 in protecting the ball in the nation. Number 10. They're also a top 5 defense. Number 4. Heard a stat last night that they have held 48 teams over the past like 4 years under 50.
good.
that's crazy.
That's
Yeah,
insane. They have
that's
been under Kelvin Sampson. They have been a top 3 defense 7 consecutive years.
that's why I feel like I think when you have when you have a freshman, like we know how much a freshman is to your team, but the point guard position of having a freshman is talented as Flemmies. That's why I feel like out of all these teams, if you ask a freshman to go out and get you 40 and still have your team, score and due diligence, I think this is the guy for this Houston team that could do it, and a team follow him and continue to be playing just as strong throughout the game. It's between him and Burris for me. I think they both will get to Burris, but I just think this Houston team is strong, and that goes to show how great of a coach Sampson is. Check the ego when you come in the door. We're gonna play defense. This is what we're gonna do: rebound and be a top contending team to where we have years to where we're not just right there. They were at the championship. They want to win. So I'm sure everyone sharp, some of those guys from last year's team have that thought in their mind, and they've made some transfers. The Atwell, Anderson coming in, those guys playing great ball, shooting lights out. So telling you, everybody's not really looking at this Houston team, but they could be a team that really just blow the doors off this tournament and just be waiting on whoever when it comes to the championship. I really feel like that about this Houston team.
Hey, and the first round you gonna have hit or miss matchups. Yesterday, with the round of 32 starting, I felt like it was no game I could miss. I couldn't miss none of them. Hey, I went to Shakers and got me some wings and sat there for 4 hours and watched to start off the day. You feel me? And then came home and finished it off. So I
Uh,
feel like this bracket was put together very well.
there's one game you could have not tuned into. I'm just not going to mention that anymore.
I mean, on paper though, on paper it felt like a good matchup. You know what I'm saying? You was like you definitely if you looked at it on paper, you was like, oh, that's gonna be
Yeah,
a good one. We didn't see that coming.
no.
Hey, we're gonna move on to Michigan State outlasting Louisville. Jeremy Fears, shout out to Jeremy Fears. He broke a school record with assists in the game, 16. Uh, they won 77-69. What y'all catch from that?
I really like this Michigan State team, man. They're scrappy. They're going to rebound. They're going to play defense. They don't necessarily have a guy who's going to take over the game for them, but they got 5 to 8 guys who are going to go out there and play the way their coach coaches them to play. And they're going to play within themselves. They ain't going to get all trying to do stuff they ain't supposed to do. He's going to call timeouts at the right time. He's going to gather his troops at the right time. He does all the things from a coaching standpoint that you want your coach to do. And they don't call March Izzo month for no reason, man. This guy knows how to freaking coach. And I think what we saw yesterday, because that Louisville team was giving Michigan State a little bit of issues here and there, but Michigan State, man, is so physical, so scrappy. They're going to get loose balls. They're going to get rebounds. And Fears is eventually going to get in those pockets, man, where he can drop those dimes to players to make those buckets. And that's what we saw yesterday out of that Michigan State team. I really like them. And I think if they meet Duke, they could possibly give Duke one hell of a challenge.
Man, I totally agree about this Michigan State team. Zay, appreciate you for putting this on Fears. I think this kid is special. Um, you don't just break a record at Michigan State and not be a special talent. When you think of Fears and point guards at Michigan State, you think of a team Cleaves and what that team did. They had a point guard that just passed the ball, led that team, and just went out and played. You really didn't have no prime time outside of Morris Peterson, but they kind of reminded me of that Michigan State team. They just playing together. They holding themselves defensively, and they have a point guard. And when you have a point guard in the tournament that's willing to give up the pass, and like you said, those tough pocket passes, I was just oozing when I seen the highlights because I didn't get to see the game being at work. But I think this Michigan State team is a team to watch. And I think they definitely put every other team in this tournament on notice after that win yesterday, for sure.
Is this like not just a, when you look at this score in this game, is this just not like a Tom Izzo game? They don't worry about beating you by 50 or 20 or whatever. They just want the win, get out healthy, move on. Tom Izzo exemplifies the March Madness, sentiment that everybody always talks about. He preaches more survive and advance than anybody else. Doesn't matter how you do it. Doesn't matter as long as at the end of the day, your number is one bigger than the other team. He doesn't care. And that just seems like the kind of team he built. Just that blue collar, grind it, make it work, make one extra play than the other team. And that just, I looked at part of this game's highlights, and it's just what I see. It's just a Tom Izzo coached team. That's just what I take from this one.
Yeah, man. Shout out to the Lou, man. They had a good run. Obviously, they didn't play with their best player, but they still had a good run. I really like kudos to Jeremy Fears, man. 16 assists in the NCAA tournament game is crazy work. And Carr was a monster. I agree with SEC Shine that having Tom Izzo is always an advantage. That's like a master coach. And Michigan State can definitely make some noise in this tournament. So I really like what I've seen from Pierce. He didn't have the best shooting game, but it don't matter because that kid is a playmaker. 16 assists.
Joe, did you go?
Yeah, I was just
Oh,
about
okay.
to add a question in there, just thinking about it. Knowing, Michael Brown is a kid that I spoke on earlier in the season. I don't know what it is. I like his game, love his game, actually. And we talking about another freshman. Just thinking of the injuries we've had. How could this March be with the healthy players that we haven't seen, whether it's senior, freshman, some of them being, special freshmen in Caleb, Michael, um, senior Richie Saunders. Just some of those names make me think about how great March Madness has been, but it could have been even more explosive. That just goes to show the talent that's coming along in college basketball.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of talent out here. If Louisville had him, that would have been a hell of a matchup. Uh, but hey, Rob, I want to respectfully disagree. I think Jeremy Fears took over that game just with his playmaking. He took over the whole game. Hey, it was that cold. Like he ain't got to score. He could literally take over a game just playmaking, bro. And that's part of the reason why in our brackets, I had Michigan State in the final four. I actually had them in the championship game in one of my brackets, going against Michigan. Uh, because of that guy. He lead the country in assists. So, when you got a point guard that just can facilitate, he gonna take care of the ball, man. Them type of guys are premiums, man. That's why last year I was high on Purdue with Braden Smith, but we know Purdue is also one of them teams that they just fold. Like how I feel like Duke just fold in March Madness. Purdue is one of them teams. They just fold. They lose to teams that I feel like they should never lose to. Um, but I love when I got a point guard, bruh, that get everybody involved because he can do it without scoring. You know what I'm saying? He don't need to score to propel his team, and I love point guards like that. This Michigan State team definitely gonna be scary though. You know, they got the winner of UCLA and UConn too. I think they can beat both of those teams. Is Texas win over Gonzaga the biggest upset thus far? They got out of there with a victory, 74-68. Yeah, Rob is geeked. Go ahead, show that Texas shirt. That shirt is ugly, but go ahead, tap in, y'all.
I mean, I'm gonna say yeah, man. I think the reason is because nobody had Texas in the Sweet 16. But if you think about it, before March Madness, I said I think they could make a run and get to the Sweet 16. But I seen when they was against BYU, I'm picking my Cougs, AJ, even though it's a connection with Swain. But I think that's the biggest upset. I was watching that game yesterday. I was actually on my way from work, and I don't know, man. This Texas team just think when you play a game to come into a tournament, you have to win to get in. I think that brings a different hunger. I think the adversity you went through throughout the season has collectively come together. Whatever talk you've had throughout this season, but that talk before that tournament game was a talk. And we can't forget who their head coach is. One of the best in college basketball. There's been things said throughout over the years when he left Arizona and whatnot, but he's came over to Texas and built something special. The transfer portal was great for him, so I'm definitely excited for Swain, man. Seeing what he's doing, the kid is special. I think he's going to the draft. I think this tournament is giving his draft stock so much more elevation, and I seen it at a young age in him. But it's just great to see what he's doing for the University of Texas, straight from this city, man. It's a great thing in Texas. Love it.
Yeah, biggest upset. I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on who you ask. I had Texas beating Gonzaga. I thought Texas's big guy down there could handle it, and wound up proving right. But I mean, I guess if you're looking at seed numbers, you'd have to say it's the biggest upset. The only other real major upset I think we've seen, I don't count 8-9s or even 7-10s. The only other one would have been the 12-5 with High Point over Wisconsin. But I think High Point proved they were probably the better team anyway with what they did with Arkansas, which we'll get to, I'm sure, later. This Texas team, I just felt like, I felt like they were more tested than Gonzaga was too. And as long as whatever that dude's name is, Rob can probably pronounce it better than me, but, big, tall, white kid from like Lithuania or something. I mean,
I'm about to get his name.
Vulcanitis or something like that. It sounds like something you go to the doctor to see. But if he stayed out of foul trouble, I felt Texas could beat Gonzaga. I don't know who their matchup next round would be. I haven't looked at that yet. But Texas to the Sweet 16 doesn't surprise me. They had a pretty good draw. I felt like they got it past the toughest game I saw on their schedule up until the Sweet 16 was probably going to be NC State, just because I think NC State could match them physically. I didn't think BYU or Gonzaga could match them physically down low. So, good win for the Longhorns.
Sean, Texas will get the winner of Miami and Purdue.
Yeah. I think it's Vocatitis.
So Purdue and who'd you say?
Purdue and Miami. I think Texas wins that, man.
I think if it's Purdue, it's going to be a struggle. But I think if it's Miami, I think Texas could win that game against Miami. But I think Purdue would give them a struggle.
Yeah. Is it the biggest upset? thus far, it's right there. I like what High Point was doing. Uh, I mean, Texas is a team that's really came on, these last few weeks, and you know, Swain, and I'm not even gonna try to pronounce the dude's last name like Mossberg just did, but I mean, they played Texas. Texas played well, man, and I had Gonzaga in this game. Uh, SEC Sean said it all. I think Texas was more battle tested than Gonzaga was, and they just ran into a team that's hot. Texas Texas can do some damage depending upon the draw. I don't think they can beat Purdue, but I think they can give Miami some trouble. So shout out to Texas, man. Coming back from a season like they had last season and being a Sweet 16 team.
Yeah, man. This game I thought Pope hit timely threes, and then the game before that it was Mark and Pope. I think if they can get these timely threes from these certain couple of these guys every game, they got the interior play and they really gritty on defense. So I think if they could just hit timely threes, I I think they could. They hitting their stride, bro. I think they could play with anybody for real, just about you know. And as far as the teams that they got facing next round, I definitely think they can beat Purdue because, like I said, Purdue is one of them teams that they just blow it in the March Madness bracket for some reason. They lose the teams that they're not supposed to lose to, and Miami is a tougher matchup to me because Texas, they rely a lot on their interior play, and I think Miami's front line is very tough defensively and offensively. So I would if for Rob's purposes, I think you much rather face Purdue than Miami, uh, just because of that interior over at Miami. But we'll let you tap in and talk your talk because we know you about to go crazy.
Yeah, I was about to say
I'm
real
about to
quick.
go crazy. You already know it. I told
Crazy.
you on Tuesday. I said the matchup that they gave Texas going into this thing, that they could make a run in this thing because of the teams they would be facing would not have any real advantage over Texas. I didn't feel like NC State had one, a team that Texas already was familiar with, that they beat early in the season. That thing came down to the wire, and Texas Mark hit some big shots in that game, and then they end up facing uh, BYU, a team that I felt like they could beat because they was going to allow the Banter to do his thing, but make sure everybody else wasn't going to get their funky off. And then I knew they could beat Gonzaga. If that big boy can stay out of foul trouble, this Texas team can either beat Purdue or Miami. I just think that the committee just put them in a really nice spot facing some teams that they could face that would not have any advantage over Texas. And I think that they're taking advantage of that with some players who've played a lot of college basketball in Mark, Swain, and Pope. Now that big guy, he got some game down low, but he got to learn how to stop fouling so much. I think he might have fouled out in the first two games. I think he didn't foul out in yesterday's game, but he was in foul trouble a little bit and had to go sit down. But if this Texas team can continue to play within themselves and keep the games close with an opportunity down the stretch to win it. Because I did not watch none of these games, none of them. I said, I'm just going to watch the highlights and just keep track of the score as it's going. As long as they stay in the game, they got a chance to win it because I think they got some players down the stretch who can hit free throws, who can hit timely threes like we saw yesterday, and can make the plays down the stretch to win games. And they've been playing some pretty good defense. They're a team that can score in the upper 70s, lower 80s, and hold teams up under the 70s. So they've been playing some pretty solid defense down the stretch as well. I'm excited for Texas. I think they can get to the Elite Eight, but they're going to face either Miami or Purdue, both teams that I think that they could beat.
And then the reason I put it on my bad, Zay, for the upset, they was the first four out. I'm gonna keep mentioning that. They wasn't even thought to be in the tournament. Sweet 16. They're one of the top 16 teams in the country. That's how you got to look at it. And not under below outside of 68. So that's another reason I feel like this was one of the, if not the biggest upset, because we know what Gonzaga was. They was a 3 seed. Texas was 11. First four out. They just keep winning games. If I'm not mistaken, it takes 6 to win this title. Texas is on the road to possibly getting them the title. Why not Sean Miller? Just saying. Great coach. He's deserving of one. So just like this.
Yeah. Well, Rob and Paul, the only two guys that got a team left, man. Shout out to y'all for making the Sweet 16. Hey, VCU couldn't slow down the fighting out. Illinois, they got popped 76-55. What y'all thoughts is about that Illinois team yesterday?
Long, Andrej Stojakovic, transferred from Cal. I think just coming over to Illinois, I think that was the biggest thing for him, being able to really be seen. A lot of people didn't know who he was. Watching him, I didn't really talk much about him. Of course, they had the big freshman this year, but seeing their size and their skill is amazing. And like I said, you haven't really heard about Illini basketball like this and seeing them do these type of things since Darren Williams, Luther Head, those days. So I think as Michigan, as Houston, I think this Illinois Houston matchup is going to be like a Final Four matchup, game full of shooters, and I can't wait to see it. Looking at the matchup with Fleming and Boswell for sure, I think that'll be a matchup to watch because I think whoever does not turn the ball over, that's whose teams prevail in that matchup, like Illinois.
I didn't catch much of this game. I just kind of kept up with the score. I looked at one point, Illinois early was up big. VCU made a run and cut it. And then I think it was pretty close at halftime still. And then just much similar to the Duke game. Illinois just came out and took control. Illinois team's really good. They had some head-scratching losses, but you'll have those in a power conference. Some team's gonna get up for you more than others. So it is what it is with Illinois. I think they're a good team. I don't like their chances in the next game.
Yeah, man. I like this Illinois team. I've been watching them all season. It's crazy watching. I remember they got Andrej Stojakovic. I remember watching his dad Peja back in the day when he was a young man playing against my Lakers in them Sacramento and Laker battles, and now his son is balling in college basketball. Life is amazing, right? But I mean, shout out to Keaton Wagler and those guys, man. Keaton Wagler wasn't even highly touted coming out of high school. Now he's played himself into probably a top 10 pick in the NBA draft. Really long, athletic guard. I like this team. I think they're in trouble against Houston, but they took care of VCU like they were supposed to. So shout out to the Illini.
We let Rob go last because we know he an Illinois fan too. So, hey, listen, they got the big boys, the twins from Croatia, 2 7-footers. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I don't know. Did y'all see Andrej Stojakovic? Did y'all see him bang out yesterday? Like we talking about, he a different type of athlete than his dad is. You know what I'm saying? Uh, then you just got all these dudes, like all of them can shoot, all of them. So I don't know, man. I think it's gonna get real sticky for Houston. Because Sanak, he's a good rim protector, but that big boy can pull him away from that rim. and then you're gonna open it up for Wagler to get some pick and roll action, out of that and find shooters. I don't know. It's gonna be a hell of a matchup though. That's one thing I know. But this Illinois team, man, they long. They are slow, but they long. When you slow and you got length, it kind of help you out. So they gonna have their hands full though with Uzan Sharp and Fleming. They definitely gonna have their hands full with that three trio on the perimeter trying to stay in front of them. But they long. They long. You can't teach height.
I just think Fleming a blur for them, man. Like he gonna be a blur.
Yeah, if this Illinois team, and I like the way they played yesterday. They had a real dogfight in the first half against VCU, but they were able to find something with Stojakovic, to where he was able to take advantage of some stuff, going to the hole, getting some and ones, and then the big guys were able to start getting into the flow. Wagner was able to get in the flow a little bit and maybe get into double figures. But their bigs, man, if their bigs can turn this thing, their next game against Houston, into a half court contest where they don't allow Houston to get up and down the court and they use their size advantage against Houston, they could beat this Houston team. But man, their feet are so freaking slow, man. These dudes, I like, so I can imagine Houston just going around them all day, man, getting layups because you saw VCU be able to do that from time to time. These guys' footwork is they got some heavy feet, man. But like I said earlier, if they can make this thing a half court ball game, they can take advantage of their size. And hopefully, Wagner can come out in this game and match the intensity that he's going to get from Fleming and be able to take this Illinois team's confidence level up to another level in this game, and they could possibly get Houston. I don't think they're going to beat Houston. I got Houston beating them, but great victory yesterday. They were able to use their size advantage over VCU and took care of business 76-55.
This for me was the game of the day yesterday. Shout out Nebraska. First time in school history that they been to the Sweet 16. This year is also the first time they won an March Madness game as well. Man, they fans showed up. They were standing the whole game. 74-72 was the outcome, man. Tanner had a shot at the end of the game that almost went in from probably 75% of the court for real. That would have been crazy if he would have made that. But what y'all think about this game yesterday?
I needed Vanderbilt to win that game, man. That's what I needed. I even though they had them winning that game and losing to Florida, but man, hats off to Vanderbilt. Great season this year. But Nebraska is the story here. This team had not won a playoff game, a tournament game, and they won one, and then they're in the freaking Sweet 16. A really good team that we talked about early in the season. This Nebraska team being one of the surprises starting off the season. I think they were undefeated, shooting really well from three-point range. They were able to hold on to a victory where they had a comfortable lead during times in this game. And for Nebraska to be able to survive and pull that game out, when you know this game is a game of runs here and there, they were able to survive it. Kudos to Nebraska. They're going to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, man. You talk about game of the day. I think absolutely. Um, First off, man, what's Vanderbilt doing nowadays? They all of a sudden good at football. The women's team is good. The men's team is good. So shout out to Vandy, man. But heartbreaker. Tyler Tanner is the real deal. That kid right there can play basketball. I love his game. And that shot that he took at the end of the overtime to win it, that would have been like just unforgettable as far as March Madness goes. I thought he was going to make it. I thought Vanderbilt was going to win. But shout out to the Cornhuskers, man. I think when you got a team like Nebraska who shoots the ball extremely well, they can get hot from three. They can beat anybody. You let Nebraska get hot, and those threes start being knocked down. That basket gets wider and wider. They can upset some teams. So I'm impressed by Nebraska, but I really thought Vanderbilt was going to win this game, and I mean Okereke was making plays as well. So man, keep your head up, man. Vanderbilt has been really impressive across the board when you talk about their sports program, but Nebraska is a scary team to face. They get to hitting them threes. Any team can be in trouble.
I didn't get to see too much of this game. Definitely, it's a good thing seeing Nebraska get in, not just win one Sweet 16, first time in history. Um, and like you said, Post, it just goes to show Vandy women's football, basketball is just a lot changing in the NIL world as well with sports, and I actually like it. Nebraska's, been part of this as well, seeing them where they are with their men's basketball program coming out of the Big Ten, one of the strongest conferences we know in basketball and football. So, it's just a great thing. Hats off to their program, everything that their coaching staff and players is doing. One thing I gotta say, in March Madness, you live by it, you will die by it. So be careful. But they're a good team. I definitely like them. Think they can definitely do something in the next round as well.
Well, Vanderbilt, if you follow them pretty close, they had Jerry Stackhouse, or not Jerry Stackhouse. What was the guy's name that used to coach? It slips my mind. But it might have been Jerry Stackhouse. But either way, they had a former NBA player coaching them, and it just wasn't working well. They had a run there when they had Scottie Pippen's son. But Vanderbilt seems to retain their players. They rotate 7 players is what they have on their rotation to play. 5 of them are seniors. The one that's not is Tanner, who that kid's a sophomore, and I'm kind of hoping he might leave because he's a problem. That kid is good. And then if you're a TV show Friends, then you also love Vanderbilt because they have a Chandler Bing on the show, on the team. So Vanderbilt's good. Nebraska's the story here, though. All right, to never have won a game, the last Division I team to ever win a tournament game, it's Nebraska's the story here. It was a great game. Game of the day. Game of the tournament, probably not so far, but definitely game of the day. I think it's hard to supplant that VCU North Carolina game. It's probably hard to also supplant that Kentucky game with that shot Owe made to send that to overtime. So, but it's definitely game of the day yesterday, and kudos to Nebraska for doing it. Pissed me off when I saw the score. I'm not gonna lie, that hurt my bank account, but it is what it is.
It was Jerry Stackhouse. She was right.
Hey man, shout out to the whole Nebraska fan base, bro. They really showed up to OKC. They made that their home court yesterday. And like I said, they was standing the whole game. Like I don't think I ever seen no second round game that hype. The commentators was even saying that. Like, and I can't when I look back and think about it, I don't remember no game that was ever that hype in the second round. And you seen all the red shirts out there. So they definitely showed up for their team. But shout out to Fred Hoiberg too. He deployed that 1-3-1 zone at the end of the game that really stifled Vandy, bro, at the right time. Like they couldn't get no clean looks after they deployed that 1-3-1 zone. And I think that slowed Vandy's ball movement down. And they couldn't really get no open threes. But it was like a boxing match for real, like a title fight. Because one team make a run, and then the next team answer the run, and it was like that the whole game, And shout out to both teams, man. They ain't got nothing to hang their Vandy ain't got nothing to hang their head about because they left that all out on the court, bro.
That 1-3-1 is dangerous, man.
Yeah, that 1-3-1, that 1-3, and we got to think too. Nebraska was damn near a top 10 team all year.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, until till a little stretch at the end of the year where they dropped a few games, but they could easily be a number 2 seed in this tournament. They could be. You know, like they got what 28-6 in the regular season. That's the same type of record Iowa State got or somebody. You know, so
yeah.
that could have easily been a 4 to a 2 for real, easily. We get into the nitty gritty too. They got the winner of Florida and Iowa. Ah,
Man, the Florida boys is tough, man.
hey, A Cup dropped 36 as Arkansas will is too much for the High Points Cinderella threat. That High Point team is scrappy, man. What y'all feel? Did y'all catch this game?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man. Oh man. I'll start with Darius Acuff. Shout out to Darius Acuff, a Midwest kid. I don't know how Michigan or Michigan State let him get out the Midwest and go to Arkansas, but it is what it is. Darius Acuff reminds me, and I think it's unfair to compare these young college basketball players to NBA legends, but I'm gonna just say reminds. Darius Acuff reminds me of Allen Iverson. That's what I get when I see him. That dude is just awesome. It, what else can you say about him? They're going to have a really tough matchup against Arizona. But they're of course if Arizona wins, and I fully expect them. But I think Arkansas is a tough matchup for Arizona as well. Their length, their athleticism. You know, you got Acuff and those guards. I like this Arkansas team, man. I think they can beat anybody. And the coaching they got, you know, the experience he brings, he done seen it all. Just awesome, man. Acuff is the real deal. I wouldn't be surprised if he sneaks into that top, three as far as draft picks goes. Really good player, man. SEC player of the year. I wouldn't be surprised if he pushed Boozer for player of the year. I think Moss's boy at BYU, if they would have finished a little better, I think he would have easily won player of the year, but they struggled once Saunders got hurt. But man, Arkansas can beat anybody. I feel like they can beat anybody, but they can also lose to anybody. I know High Point was a sleeper team, 31-5. Normally, when you get some of those teams who aren't expected to do much, you look at their record, and that dictates them knocking off a couple of teams in the NCAA tournament. But I think Arkansas, they've had a great run. I still believe Arizona is the best team in March Madness. I think they're the best team left. I think they're going to win it all. And that's just me like analyzing the field. Like I don't have a dog in this fight. My fighting Irish super suck this year. But I think Arizona is the best team. I think they'll be pushed by Arkansas if they win their matchup.
I know. I like this. I like the game yesterday. I like this Arkansas team and what Acuff is bringing to college basketball. Like I said, I know I didn't feel a certain way about him prior to, as the season progressed and ended, but I've been watching him, special talent. But my guy for this team, quiet as known, is Malik. I like Malik. I'm trying to say it right. Ewan, little Lawrenceville, Georgia boy. I just like what he brings to the table. He had a double-double and 3 blocks, 14, 12, 3 blocks. And you just seen this game elevate. And when you're a senior and you have so
Moss,
many, yes,
he have 4 blocks, dog.
4. They got him down. They only had him down for 3, which was crazy. But yeah, he's special. I think his game is elevated throughout the season. If you go watch him the first week of college basketball, and you go watch him for the last 2 weeks, you would think he's a total different player. I think he actually has made his draft stock go up. A player nobody looked at, but I think he's a special talent. He keeps that bigs, down low, secure. And he's a special talent to me for Arkansas. Just like the way he played.
Yeah, I think Darius Acup is a monster, bro. And we saw that yesterday, freshman dropping 36 in this game. And the thing that I sometimes when that committee is down there and they're doing what they're doing to figure out some of these seedings, and you decide you're going to put Arkansas where you're going to put them at, and you look at well, they're going to be a number 4 seed, and eventually they're going to play. If they're going to play Arizona, of course, if Arizona wins today, wouldn't you much rather see Arkansas at maybe the 3 line and maybe switch them and Gonzaga around and say, so we can get Arizona and Arkansas in the Elite Eight as opposed to the freaking Sweet 16? I think that would have
Absolutely.
been better, man, in my opinion. But, I guess we're going to have to settle for however it turns out. But I think in this case, they probably should have picked Arkansas at a 3 seed just so we could get this matchup a week later in the Elite Eight. Then next week, because I think that's going to be a heck of a basketball game. I just would like to see it in the Elite Eight. But this Arkansas team is a really good team. And can they do, if Arizona wins today, can they do what they need to do with Darius Acup and the rest of those players to shock the world and beat Arizona, the team that I think is going to win the national championship?
Arkansas is, in my mind, by far the most athletic team coming out of the SEC. They've got guys everywhere. Brazil can get hot at any given moment. Richmond, if he's on, anything they get from Richmond is like a bonus at this point. He's hot and cold. So if he gets on a run, but at the end of the day, when you get down to a game, especially as these games get further along in this tournament, they're going to get tighter. You have that player who can just put it on his shoulders and say, I got this. The comp you made post-game to AI, I spot on. That's exactly where I thought you were going when you said that. It's not fair to comp him to AI. There is no way. But that kid has no fear. He's like, if we win, it's on me. If I hit the shot, if we lose, I miss the shot. It happens. It is what it is. Player of the year, I'm probably hands down giving it to Acuff for National Player of the Year. Depending on who's got that first pick in the draft, if they need a point guard, there you go. He'll be number 1 off the board, I believe. Just my opinion on him. I think he's that dynamic. Kind of came out of nowhere. Nobody was talking about him at the beginning of the year. Nobody said nothing about him. And then all of a sudden he exploded, and it's been upward from there. So I've got Arizona. If Arizona wins today, I've got Arizona beating them. But I wouldn't be shocked to see Arkansas pull off the upset either.
Yeah, man. Y'all know how I feel about Acuff. And Sean, I'm with you. If you need a point guard at that first pick, he gone. He number 1. Don't tell me you got this guy in the draft and you need a point guard. You got everything else on your roster because you still can't T6-9, and that's the Banster. You feel me? He got everything in the package. But if you need a point guard and you feel like you comfortable with your wings, I gotta snatch Acuff. Y'all comp him to AI. I comp him to Stephon Marbury. I grew up. My brother's a diehard Knick fan. He remind me of Stephon Marbury, man. We used to watch these dudes play all the time. He got everything that Marbury got. He's stocky built. He gets to the mid range. He's super athletic. That jumper just came on for real. They said he ain't had that his senior year in high school. So he keep on working on that, man. He already unguardable for real. Like I'm talking about the hezzy that he got, all that, bro, all that little stuff he got, bro, in his package, bro. It's just unguardable. But this
Hey, well,
Arkansas team, this is one thing that scared me about them. They got a 6-man rotation, and that they got that big that he's questionable. He might play against Arizona. He a senior, Pringle. He might play if they could add him back, and he could steal about 10 to 15 minutes. They in good hands. I like them because he is the last player I can identify that's left that could go out, drop 30, and he got dudes with him. Like Malik Thomas, he was on a heater at the beginning of the game. He the one that really opened up the game for him and got him settled into the game. Then of course you said something about Richmond, Sean. Richmond is a defensive menace. He is everywhere. So any offense he give you is just added. I need this Brazil dude though. I need him to start taking a couple more of them open shots on the offensive end. He'd be a little hesitant, but 6'11", he's a long body. Um, he need to unlock himself a little more. But man, that's a scary squad, bro. That is a squad. Hey, and that High Point team though, shout out to them, man. That dude Rob, what's his last name? What's that? Rob Martin. He went toe to toe with A Cup. Hey, and I gotta give him credit. He went toe to toe with it. That dude was super quick, ultra quick. Um, they ain't let number 99 get nothing off. They was on him like white on rice. They did not let him get no open looks all game. I think he had one open three that whole game. So, um, that their defense is 88 points. You can't give up 88 points. You can't keep on doing that. You can't win every game with a shootout. But um, the trio of Malik Thomas, Richmond, and Acuff, man, them dudes got it. And this is what I mean by guard play. Rob said they should have been the 3 seed. This guard, they the 4 seed. The last time I remember, one of my favorite March Madness runs was that Michigan team in 2013 or 14, with Trey Burke and all them. They was a 4 seed. That guard play is what dragged them all the way to the championship game. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's why I like this team because I think they got the best set of guards. I think Houston rival it a little bit, but they got the best set of guards out of everybody left. So I think they're gonna have a chance every time they step on that court. And
I don't
I'm
know.
definitely looking forward to them in their next round matchup possibly being Arizona. You know what I'm saying? The best team versus the best player left. You feel me? And that's gonna be
dude,
dynamite.
going back to what you said, Post, how that kid got out of Michigan. Do you think because that was the knock I knew on him coming out was he wasn't a real good jump shooter? And from what I've heard from like the SEC Now people and stuff, when he got to Arkansas, that's all they told him to do. Your driving game is fine. You need to get your pull-up game. And he just had him doing pull-up after pull-up after. And eventually it came around. But I'm wondering if the lack of the pull-up game scared some of the other recruiting teams off of him from up in Michigan.
Maybe so. That could have been a strong possibility, but we really don't know in this age of NIL. You know, it could have been money driven. It could have been just that they felt like he wasn't a good enough shooter to play in the Big Ten, whatever the case may be. But man, A-Kelf is just awesome. What the kids used to say, awesome sauce. But that's a great question, man. That definitely needs to lead to a little digging when it comes to his recruiting. Because if I'm Michigan State, IU, Ohio State, man, there's no way I'm letting him get out the Midwest, but it happened. And it is what it is.
Hey,
What
hey, my
happened to DeJuan Wagner? Isn't he on that team?
he on the team. He played his role. I mess with DeJuan Wagner because he could have been
He just play
salty.
his role, man.
All that he could have been salty. Listen. He still get him solid minutes, and I think he's still an NBA point guard. He just might be a backup in the NBA. But
Yeah.
this one thing that's gonna hold true, Sean. If it's a point guard of that caliber, he the number one point guard in this class. John Calipari gonna get him. That's what it is. Cal gonna get him. This is what he do. Hey,
They don't.
and you look at his lineup of guards over the years. Acuff might be
Mhm.
the best one. He done had
Oh,
Derrick
easy.
Rose. Man.
Oh yeah.
Acuff might be the best one.
Hold on.
Um,
You said he had Derrick
it's
Rose,
not.
but AKF,
Yeah, he had Derrick Rose at Memphis.
he had a
Yeah.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Well, A Cuff probably gonna be one too,
I,
but we
we,
can't say that right now.
I don't know if Derrick Rose
But
gonna make the Hall of Fame, but
yeah, I don't either. But you're right. If Calipari wants that guard, all he got to do is pick up the phone and make one of two phone calls, either to the Waltons or to the owner of Tyson Chicken Factory based out of Arkansas, and he gonna get the check he needs to get that kid.
hey, listen. Before we bounce, I want y'all to tell me about what game y'all looking forward to today. Because we've been on here about an hour 20. So we was gonna go over some of them, but everybody just choose one or so. Unless y'all want to keep going, we could talk about all of them. I don't care.
Well, we got some news. I don't know if y'all saw this or not, but I don't remember the kid's first name, but Jefferson, the forward out of Iowa State, is unlikely to play today.
Yeah, I seen that.
Kentucky
And
wins.
then Calderon is back with Kansas now after his father's death. And then you had a coaching hire already. USF's coach Hodgson is going to Providence.
So Kentucky gonna end up winning out of Iowa State game. That's how big Jefferson is in this game within itself, because he would have to guard Garrison, Oway, players like that. Kentucky getting steamed, just like Texas is getting steamed. You know, I
Just
think that's
unlikely. He may play, he may not. So there's no official out yet.
I'm gonna say Kentucky wins. I'm looking forward to that Florida Iowa game. I think a lot of people not really giving Florida respect after winning the national championship last year. I think they really, if you look at their crowd, if you could go back and just look at clips of when they ran that back-to-back championship, this crowd that they had in that first game, looks like the crowd they had on that back-to-back championship title run. Go look at this Florida Iowa game today. Watch how their crowd is. They getting crazy. And this Florida team, I think, is very scary. Shout out to Big 7'9", Rui. We see you out there, man. Got your dunk on in that first game, man. First couple points for the tournament, man. It's a big thing seeing a 7'9" basketball player on the court, man. I'm still in awe with seeing him out there, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing that UCLA UConn game. This UCLA team lately, the last maybe month of the season, has really been playing some really, really good basketball. And I think they're going to beat this UConn team, who we've seen sort of falter down the stretch with Coach Hurley and the boys. I think that this UCLA team is going to beat them today, especially if they can play the style of play they've been playing the last couple of weeks and how they played in the tournament, the Big Ten tournament. So I'm taking UCLA today over UConn, who was the number two seed, who we thought possibly could get a number one seed maybe about a month ago, but they sort of faltered here lately. I'm taking UCLA. Let's go.
I gave some love to the Longhorns earlier, so now I'm going to walk that back. I'm going to go with the game I'm most interested to watch is the real UT, the University of Tennessee, and Nate Ament against Virginia. I like that Nate Ament kid. I like him a lot.
He's special.
We're going to see how they can do. I think Tennessee beats Virginia in my mind, but we'll see how that plays out. But that's the game I think I'm most interested to watch.
Seeing that.
Yeah, SEC. I'm really interested in that Tennessee game. I like Tennessee, man. They lost some really close games this season. They got some exciting players to watch, but the game that I'm really locked in on is that 4-5 matchup with St. John's and Kansas. I want to see if Darren Peterson could put this Kansas team on his back and they can make a run because we know they're talented enough. They've had some things, they've been up and down this season. Probably got some issues with Peterson in that locker room. You may never know, but I think that's probably what it is. But I'm interested to see Kansas and St. John's. I want to see if Peterson could lock in. We know he got the talent. If he can lock in and carry this Kansas team and they can make a run, St. John's is not an easy out. But for me, that's the most exciting game to watch today.
Yeah, Post. I was gonna say that game. You snatched it up from me. You know, somebody coming for his number two, top two pick spot. You feel me? So I definitely was gonna say that game, but just for content purposes, I'm gonna go with I think I'm gonna go with Miami versus Purdue.
That's a
No,
good
matter of fact, I'm going with Bama and Texas Tech. Felon Jr. Felon Jr. We know he missing his second leading scorer. We know Bama missing their second leading scorer. But man, that dude, he get to it like A cuff dude for real. Nobody really talking about him. Nobody really talking about him. But 29, I think 7-6 in his last game, something crazy like that. He another dude, man, that he just on a burner right now. Who can stop this guy? Can he put his team on his back? Texas Tech is still playing without Toppin. Toppin is done for the year, so they ain't got their best player, one of their best players either. So this is probably gonna be a dog fight. I don't know who I got. I'm just gonna watch it as a fan. I think Bama gonna win though, and I think it's gonna
That,
be because of Elon.
that's the game of who's not playing is the storyline in that game. Without Holloway or Toppin in the game, that's that's what they're gonna talk about a lot. But yeah, that's gonna be a good matchup too.
All right, man. Y'all got anything else y'all want to add before we get up out of here?
Oh man,
Y'all see this is the craziest stat that I've ever seen in the history of college basketball. Y'all remember back when High Point beat Wisconsin? That Chase Johnson who hit the last basket for the win, that was his first 2-point basket of the year.
Yeah.
That's insane to think about.
I mean, when you shoot 49% from the 3-point line, I don't want you shooting
that's
no
true. You don't really need to get down inside the line yet. Don't forget the mid range. You just stay out there with the logo.
Shoot it from the logo.
That's it.
All right, man. That's all we got. Talking Sports Sunday, man. Tap into these round of 32 games. Please comment in the comment section who you got winning today in the round of 32. Uh, all the channels are scrolling down at the bottom. You can also get on our website at WTPSportsDudes.com. Get in the blog, send your comments in so Rob can post them on the page. There's other stuff that's going to be posted on there. We also on Patreon at WTP Sports Dudes 2026. Am I missing anything?
Shout out to KT's Good Eats, man. We'll be out on Smith Road in a few weeks in May. Man, just appreciate what we do, man, and when it comes to that cooking stuff. Shout out to City League and what he do, everything we do, man. One take, you did a great job this morning, bro. Appreciate what you do as
Appreciate
well.
you.
You see Sean on the NASCAR post game on your Hidalgo. I'll be seeing it and see you. WTP, I can't thank you enough. There's just so many things coming up, more conversations, I would say. I will be dipping into that starting next week. I know I've been holding Doug off. It's just this new work schedule has been crazy, but I'll be opening that up so that I could get some of these things out here. Like I said, I don't really want to work for nobody except WTP Sports Dudes coming in a few years. So other than that, man, just relaxing and rolling, man, for sure.
That's why we need everybody to go hit that Patreon for WTP Sports Dudes and become a subscriber, a member. Real quick, I've been bringing it up, and I'm going to keep bringing it up. As of right now, your Columbus Blue Jackets are in the playoffs. They are the 6th seed right now with 13 games left to play.
Were you at that game last night?
No, I was at home watching basketball and NASCAR, brother. No.
Big win last night. They've been talking about.
Yeah, they won big last night.
Yeah.
So
I think like a 5 or 6 game win streak they've been on.
that's 4 in a row, but they're right now they need to keep. They did this last year and then they faltered down the stretch and missed the playoffs. So they need a good another 4 or 5 wins to lock this thing up and make the playoffs. But as bad as that team has been over the past previous years and the tragedy they went through with their star player getting killed by a drunk driver, that team is doing really impressive things. So if you're in Columbus, tickets aren't expensive, y'all. Go get you some tickets and go watch it. It's an entertaining time.
For sure, man. Y'all know what it is, man. We was in the building. Now we out. Peace.
Peace.
Low post, mid post, high post, post game sports.